Folks, at this point, I just don't know what to do. But what I know needs to happen is the Red Sox need to make a trade. If you want the Red Sox to make a trade, let me know by liking today's video. I should see every single person that watches this video like the video. So it's 100 likes, 200 likes, 300 likes, however many likes. Let's make the goal today 100 likes, all right? Does that sound reasonable? If you want the Red Sox to make a trade, like today's video. Welcome into another episode of the Red Sox Rundown. I am your host, Jack Lotteray. You already know what it is. We are actually going to continue on with the Jeff Passan article that we talked about yesterday regarding him and Kiley McDaniel came up with like their trade big board, basically their big board of players that could be traded at the deadline. The Red Sox were linked to 7 players as trade targets, not trade candidates. Yesterday we talked about Alex Bregman and Jarren Duran being the top two trade targets for the trade candidates, for the Red Sox. But today we're going to talk about the 7 trade targets that they mentioned that they linked the Red Sox to specifically. I'm just going to say off the top, I'm filming this video at 12:24 in the morning. I just got home from covering the 2025 NBA draft, round 1 of the NBA draft. So I am a little tired, so if I stumble over some words, just forgive me, and we'll be on our happy merry way. This is the type of commitment I have for you guys, videos every single day, no matter what is going on. Let's start with Sandy Alcantara. That was the first name that they had mentioned. He was a top 10 candidate for trades as well, and again, I want to note that they're not ranked in order of likelihood of being traded. They are ranked in order of how impactful they would be on the team that trades for that player. So Sandy Alcantara was the top 10 player on this list, and here's what Passan and McDaniel had to say about Alcantara. Alcantara was arguably the best pitcher in baseball in 2022, winning the NL Cy Young unanimously, and he was more solid than spectacular in 2023 and missed 2024 with Tommy John. He has been tinkering this season, trying to get his new pitch mix and locations right in hopes of regaining his former glory. It is starting to look as though he has turned the corner to become a mid-rotation starter or better once again, as he has posted a 2.74 ERA in 4 June outings. The Marlins could hold on to him until the winter, when teams like Baltimore would be more inclined to acquire him in the final 2 years of his contract. The destinations that they mentioned were the Cubs, Astros, the Red Sox, Blue Jays, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Padres, and Orioles, and the chance of him being traded was 60%. I don't think, one, that Sandy Alcantara gets traded. I do think that the note that they said at the end, I do think they wait until the offseason to trade him, because I just don't think that, one, a team really wants to take him on right now because he is still kind of trying to recalibrate his pitching. And 2, I think the Marlins could get more in return in the offseason when pretty much every team is interested in making a trade. Specifically, they mentioned Baltimore. Baltimore is not going to be a buyer at the deadline. They are going to be a seller. The Orioles would be more inclined to make a trade in the offseason when they're trying to retool their roster. So I don't know how realistic this one really is. He, won a Cy Young in 2022, and he's got years of team control left. It's very appeasing, but I don't know if it's really realistic, if that makes sense. I would not touch him because I don't know what they would ask for in return. If they ask for something not crazy, then sure, go get Sandy Alcantara, see what he has. But he just seems like too much of a question mark and too much of a risk for me. He would not be my top target if we were talking trade targets, at the starting pitcher role. Now, a player I would be inclined to trade for is Freddy Peralta. That is the next player we're going to talk about. Here's what Jeff Passan and Kiley McDaniel had to say. Peralta has been a steady presence for years, averaging 140 innings pitched and a 2.49 ERA over the past 4 seasons, and he's on track to do that again, with his heavily used fastball coming in at a career-high velo of 94.9 miles per hour this season. He has an ultra-cheap $8 million option for 2026. The trade destinations, the Boston Red Sox were named as the #1 trade destination for Freddy Peralta. Then you got the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Orioles. They only give Freddy Peralta a 20% chance of being traded. I do think that's because that the NL Central is so competitive. So the Brewers might be contending at some point, and maybe they aren't sellers at the deadline. But if they are, I would go after Freddy Peralta. One, they said his velo is topping out at a career high this season. He is very consistent. You know what you're going to get from Freddy Peralta, and that is good enough for the middle of your rotation that is desperately needing some juice. And I don't think he would be that expensive either. I think you could get him for relatively cheap. He would be one of my top trade targets if available at the trade deadline. I think that he would add an instant boost to your rotation. But you guys let me know. Pick a pitcher that you would trade for. Of the two we've talked about. If you would trade for Sandy Alcantara, type in SA, type his initials. Or if you would take Freddy Peralta, type FP down below in the comments. I'm going with Freddy Peralta, but I know that Sandy Alcantara is a name that people are going to be looking out for. So you let me know down below in the comments what you're going with. We're going to talk about another starting pitcher now, then we'll get into some first basemen. Merrill Kelly is a name that has been linked to the Red Sox by Passan and McDaniel. The D-backs have struggled mightily this year. There's rumors that they don't want to sell, but I do think at the end of the day they will. The next two players we talk about are Diamondbacks, and Merrill Kelly was linked to the Red Sox. Here's what they had to say. Kelly doesn't have big raw stuff, posting the second lowest average fastball velo among pitchers with 90 innings pitched this season. His changeup is his best pitch by a wide margin, and he gets by with location and off-speed stuff. He was a stalwart in the D-backs run in 2023, striking out 28 and 24 innings with a 2.25 ERA. The teams linked are the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, the Astros, the Cubs, and his chance of being traded is 30%. I think of the three, again, Freddy Peralta is my favorite. I think that Merrill Kelly is also consistent. I don't think he fits the Red Sox profile of what they're looking for. The Red Sox look for power arms that get swing and miss and high whiff rate, that then can, exploit that velo to then hit people with off-speed stuff. I think a Mason Miller is like a perfect example of this. I don't think that he fits that bill. Now, maybe his off-speed stuff is good enough, has good enough spin that Craig Breslow's like, we can work with this guy and really mold him into something special. But I would say that he does not fit their profile. So I don't know how likely it would be for the Red Sox to call up the D-backs and go after a Merrill Kelly when they could go after somebody else. That's just my opinion. But again, like I said, I'm very highly favorable of Freddy Peralta, and he would be the one of the three that I would go after. Let's talk about some first basemen now. The first, it's the ones that you would expect. Only two. Then we have a DH and another starting pitcher to finish this out. Let's talk about Josh Naylor. First baseman linked to the Red Sox a lot. But here's what Passan and McDaniel had to say. They said, Naylor's batting over 300 this year, is a lefty hitting first baseman in a contract year on pace for about 20 homers. Naylor faces left-handed pitchers more often than the next player on the list, but he hasn't been particularly good at it. His on-base skills and lack of strikeouts make him especially attractive acquisition candidate for postseason contenders. The teams linked, the Mariners, the Red Sox, the Giants, and the Rangers, and the chance of him being traded are 30%. I wouldn't. He's hitting well. He's hitting for power, but he's a lefty. Would he be an upgrade at first base? Yes, but he's a lefty. I don't think that he would be one that I would go after. I'm going to continue to push the Rhys Hoskins propaganda. He's not on this list, but I'm going to continue to push the Rhys Hoskins propaganda. He is who I would trade for. And I don't think that Josh Naylor is as attractive right now because you just have such a lefty-heavy lineup. In the offseason, in free agency, sure. If you can work around your lineup, get some more righties in the lineup, and then you want to bring in Josh Naylor, of course, yes, absolutely. But I would not trade for him right now as a rental when you already have a very hefty, dominant lineup. But you let me know, would you trade for Josh Naylor? Type T for trade if you would. Type P for pass if you would not. I want to hear your thoughts. I think the next player we're going to talk about, I would be more inclined to trade for. But nonetheless, you let me know. T for trade, P for pass. Would you trade for Josh Naylor? Ryan O'Hearn, probably the most attractive hitter of any going into this trade deadline. he was also linked to the Red Sox, another first baseman that the Red Sox could use. O'Hearn is having an out-of-nowhere career year, hitting over 300, and with underlying metrics to support that, along with being on pace for a career high in home runs. He doesn't face lefty pitchers much, and his splits suggest that he shouldn't. It's coming from Jeff Passan and Kiley McDaniel. So he was linked to the Mariners, Red Sox, Giants, and Rangers, and he has an 85% chance to be traded this offseason. I would be more inclined to trade for him. He is another lefty, so that's again another concern. But his metrics are just, they're off the charts. Like this is an example of like you have to do it. He's got the underlying metrics that are there, and he's hitting the screws off the ball. So I would be more inclined to trade for Ryan O'Hearn than I would Josh Naylor, both lefty bats. Of course, you'd like to find a righty, again, Rhys Hoskins, but of the two, I would be more inclined to trade for Ryan O'Hearn than Josh Naylor. Neither of them hit well against lefties, so I don't know what you would do in that situation, but I do think you need an upgrade at first, and I think that Ryan O'Hearn would be one of the best options that you could go for. Let's talk about Marcell Ozuna. He's been linked a little bit, and he got linked in this one as well to the Red Sox. Here's what Passan and Kiley McDaniel had to say. He said, Ozuna is a stone-cold DH, played 2 games in the field in 2023 as his last regular season experience defensively. Ozuna is also in a contract year, but his power numbers are down a notch from his standard .302 average and 39 home run performance last season. His on-base percentage remains among the highest of the potential trade candidates. If anyone is moving from Atlanta, he is the likeliest choice with free agency beckoning. The trade destinations for Ozuna were the Padres, the Mariners, the Tigers, the Royals, the Giants, the Guardians, and the Red Sox were named last. The chance of him being traded were 25%. I would not touch Marcell Ozuna. His numbers are down. He's in a career year, and one, I don't think that the Braves are going to be huge sellers. I do get Ozuna because he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year, but I wouldn't touch him because, again, like I think the thing that Cora and Breslow both talked about is they love flexibility at the DH. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Being able to slot guys in, being able to slot in a Roman Anthony on a day when you have a full outfield is a positive. And Marcell Ozuna would be just a DH. He provides you no defensive versatility at all. So if someone needs to DH, Marcell Ozuna is not going to be in the lineup that day. And I don't think that's what the Red Sox want. We saw that clearly with Rafael Devers. That's not something the Red Sox want. So I do not think the Red Sox would be inclined to take on Marcell Ozuna, but it is interesting to think about nonetheless. Tyler Mahle is the last player that was linked to the Red Sox. Here's what Passan and McDaniel had to say, the pitcher from the Texas Rangers. Mahle's thriving after returning from his 2023 Tommy John surgery, looking like a third or fourth starter despite a 2.34 ERA fueled by a very favorable stranded runner rate and BABIP. He's currently on the injured list with right shoulder fatigue. Should be return healthy. He will jump up this list. 4 destinations: the Blue Jays, Padres, Red Sox, and Cubs. The chance of him being traded are 30%. I like his stuff. I do. I think that the injury history is a little concerning, but I think that I actually want to see what his contract is. Do you get team control? I don't know. Righty. I don't love a righty, but I would rather a lefty. Signed a 2-year, $22 million deal with the Rangers. He was a free agent. Let me look. I want to just get his contract right. So he'll be an unrestricted free agent after 2026, so you'll have another year of control. 2026, he'll be going into his age 31 season. He's having a good year. The injury concerns are there. It's an interesting one to think about. I think you could probably buy low, and if that's the case, I'd consider it. Again, of all the starting pitchers, I think Freddy Peralta is my number one. I'm going to continue to say that, but Tyler Mahle is an interesting one to think about nonetheless. And if the Rangers are selling, which I don't even think they're going to, that's why it's at 30% chance of a trade. But if they are, see what it would take. It doesn't hurt to ask, and it would be an interesting one to think about. We're going to talk about the game here in a minute, but just to wrap a bow on this entire trade target segment, name a player you want the Red Sox to trade for. Just name any player. Be realistic. Like, you're not trading for Ronald Acuna, you're not trading for Fernando Tatis, you're not trading for Aaron Judge, but be realistic about it. Like names we talked about today or some other names we talked about over the past few weeks. Name a player you want the Red Sox to trade for. I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Before we get into the game, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're a few subs away from 3,000. We are literally knocking on the door of that milestone. I am filming this video at 12:37 in the morning after I just did a 12-hour day at work covering the NBA draft. This is the commitment you're going to get from me every single day. It doesn't matter where I am. I am going to get you videos covering the Boston Red Sox. And in 2 days, I'm getting on a flight to Boston, and I will be at Fenway Park for 3 games. We're going to have a bunch of content. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button. Join the family. I would really, really appreciate it. I'm going to go through this quick. There's not much really to say. Red Sox lose 5-2. They've lost 5 straight. They got swept by the Angels. They are 3-6 since they traded away Rafael Devers. Your offense went silent yesterday. 14 strikeouts, only 3 hits. 2 of those hits came in the first inning when you scored 2 runs. You got basically shut out after that. Not ideal whatsoever. The Angels put up 10 hits. They scored 5 runs. Richard Fitz gave up 2 runs on back-to-back home runs. That definitely wasn't ideal. And then Luis Guerrero comes in, gives you a stinker. He also gives up 2 runs. Brendan Bernardino gives up a run as well. Just a really piss-poor day for the Boston Red Sox. You just didn't have a shot from the start. You just didn't have a shot. And it sucks. It really does, because this team, I think they're way better than they're showing. And, their offense is definitely struggling. Again, I talked about it in yesterday's video, relying on the home run ball. Their approach at the plate's just not good. Their situational hitting is absolutely awful. But honestly, you can't even have situational hitting if you're only getting 3 hits and 2 of them were in the first inning. There's no situational hitting to be had at that point. Nobody did anything spectacular. That's really it. I don't know what the fix is here. I think they need to start making moves. I think they will make moves. I'm not waving the white flag yet on this season. At the time of recording this, and this isn't going to change because all the games of the day are over, but you sit 7 games back in the division. Okay, I didn't really think you were going to win the division to start with. You're 2.5 back in the wild card. 2.5 back. You've got plenty of time to rebound and get back in this season. 2.5 back is nothing. You go on a 5, 6, 7 game winning streak, which you've shown that you can do, and you're right back in it. So I'm not waving the white flag yet. I do think this team is special. I think they have the components to be a playoff team. So I'm not waving the white flag. And you'll see in tomorrow's video that I post. I filmed it a few days ago. I said the same things I'm saying now. Breslow is going to be aggressive at the deadline. I think he believes this team can be a playoff team. I believe this team can be a playoff team. And I think that they really need to lock in. I think getting done with this West Coast road trip, their longest road trip of the year, all the way out on the West Coast, is pivotal. They come home now for a homestand at Fenway against teams that, the Blue Jays are pretty good. The Reds are pretty good too, but they're winnable. They're not like the best teams in the league. They're good teams. They're not slouch teams. They're good teams, but they're winnable. You can win those series. And I think just getting home and resetting will be a good thing for them. And then, we're getting close to the deadline. I mean, they need to win. I'm not going to, give it a few more weeks. And if they're not winning ball games and they're getting way, way deep into the wild card, then, wave the white flag. But 2.5 games back, we're just at the halfway point of the season. A lot can change. So I'm not giving up yet, but a 5-game losing streak is pretty bleak. But I do want to mention something. I started listening to the Section 10 podcast on the way home tonight. I want to mention something that Coley said, which is true. If Devers wasn't the problem, if Devers was the problem and he's gone now, then why do they still suck? Why are they arguably worse than they were? I think Coley brought up a really good point at the beginning of the podcast. This is a message to all the Devers haters. You're 3-6 since he was gone. I believe the 2-hole hitter / DH is hitting like a $128 since Devers has been gone. Your offense has been absolutely horrible. And everyone said that the problem was Devers. He was the locker room cancer. Well, Devers is gone. And when he was here, you were on one of your hottest streaks of the year. And now that he's gone, you've gone 3-6, you've lost 5 in a row, and your DH spot is batting a $120. No. I think Rafael Devers was pretty damn good, and I think you trading him away was a mistake. And I think I feel a little bit vindicated from all of the people in my comments talking mad crap over the past few weeks saying I was ridiculous for thinking that the Rafael Devers trade was a bad trade. I think the Red Sox have proven over the past 9 games that Rafi was pretty damn good, and you could use him in your lineup right now. That's where I'm going to end the video, guys. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Very close to my Boston vacation. I'm very, very excited, and you guys are going to be along for the ride. So again, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, go Sox.